You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Love in the Wild After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Love in the Wild After Show.
Ooh, new music this week.
Wow.
I'm feeling it. All right. Hey, everyone. Oh, are we going to let it keep going? No? Okay.
Fade out
hey,
slowly.
everyone. Hey, everyone. Bing is for doing, and right now we are doing another recap of NBC's Love in the Wild. We have one more week left. Next week is the season finale, so this episode was full of a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Let's get started. We have some great guests today. To my left,
Jesse Wilson.
from the show, a fan favorite, and across from me,
to my me first. I thought you
come
were
on.
to him. All right. Hi, JJ Jurgens, and next to me,
Aaron Chase. Chase on Love in the Wild.
Yep. And in our hot seat over here, we've got the Tim Meister.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, he is sober this week, people.
She emphasized
wearing a great shirt for us tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about your shirt a
let's
little
see
bit.
the shirt, Tim.
Yes, ladies, it is me.
And the best part,
The best 5 seconds of her life.
one of our favorite quotes of the season.
That's right.
And I am Giselle Ugarte, always your host, but today in for AJ Gibson. He is out today. We miss you, AJ, if
Bye,
you're
AJ.
watching.
He's getting his
love
nails
you.
did.
Oh, is that what he's doing?
I think so.
Well, let's get right into the challenge. We're down to the last 3 couples. There was no elimination. Everyone was safe. However, Ben and Michelle got a 30-second head start. Mm-hmm. Chase, how are you feeling before this competition?
I felt we owned it.
Really? Even with the 30 seconds?
Oh, Ben and Michelle are great, but, it was one of those things that you're kind of confident in yourself. And it's not to say that there's anything that they're not competitive and they're not strong. It was just that when you're that focused and you're that close, you're just like, we got this.
You got it.
You don't look at your competitors. You don't look at anybody else. You don't look at the other couples. We're only there for ourselves, so we're just going against ourselves. It's not like we're competing against anybody else, we thought. We're just competing with ourselves. Anything we ever did would, if we shot ourselves in the foot, it was us.
It's a good way of looking at it. Well, what were you saying?
Well, I was saying you had to feel pretty good knowing that you're 2 of the strongest competitors and athletic people on the show left.
It definitely was, it was one of those things that you're like, okay, we're one challenge away, and I got this amazing girl that's athletically gifted, but, I'm running with the pack, and there's times where she was dying on hikes up hills, and she was trying to keep with me. So we pushed each other, so we know we're at each other's limit, and it was definitely a motivation to know that, okay, we are that gifted.
Yeah, good.
That sounds really bad, but
and we'll talk a little bit more about where they are in their relationship now during our news and gossip section. Mm-hmm. But so we start off, and the theme is gold digging. Right away, Jenny McCarthy, the host, goes, "Are your ladies gold diggers?" And everyone's like, what is she talking about? So they have the 30-second head start, Ben and Michelle. And they're having, 30 seconds to look at this diagram, right?
And Ben's very confused.
And the diagram, at first I was really confused because at first Jenny described the challenge as being, okay, you're going to put together this map and then you're going to find a treasure chest. But she didn't mention all the different obstacles along the way that come with this map. So there's this big diagram in it, 5 little stars saying where they are, and Ben and Michelle look like they have their chickens with their heads cut off. Yeah.
Ben comes back about 3 times to look at the board.
When we were sitting there, and Ben was you could hear his little banter, and I won't even try his English accent. Where Janina was like, "We're coming for you," and I was like, "Yeah, we're coming for you, Ben. We're coming for you, Ben." And he's like, "Oh," and he's running off. We were trying to frazzle him because we know Ben, playfully gets frazzled easily. So
That's right. And you guys had blindfolds. So Jenny says go. They're off. They're confused. They're coming back. You guys go. And right away, you and Summer pretty much take the initiative. You get going. There are about two maps, right, in the immediate vicinity.
Yeah. There was one up. There was 2 map pieces. You need the main map, and then you need the first piece of the map to get the first clue.
So then from there, let's see, what happens? We have the blindfold.
Instantly they lose that 30 seconds.
Well,
and
right.
I think they're probably the only couple, and we all love them, but I think they're the only couple that could lose it that quick.
Right. They felt the pressure too,
Yeah.
though. If you have the 30 seconds, okay, I got to get off to a good start and really go, and then.
And their dynamic of their relationship, you could tell the difference between the two, right? Ben flies off the handle very easily.
Oh, easily.
And Michelle, she's very calming, and she's very, Ben, just relax, just calm. And even when they're
Until this
arguing,
episode.
even still, though, she's still kind of a little more calm, right? Even when she gets frustrated, she's still more calm than Ben is.
I like that about her because,
Yeah.
you could have the stereotypical, like, you think she's Hooters girl, high maintenance, always in her makeup or lashes. But I love that she just stays very level-headed, very calm, very cool the whole time.
I was very happy to see them kind of get in an argument, not from the competitive standpoint,
Yeah.
but you want them to see like how they're going to
How they
react.
recover.
That's what this whole thing was about. So it was good to
Demonstrate
see them
relationship.
like do that and them come together.
And then we had Ken and Janina. Ken went into Ken mode.
Yeah.
Which I think that's something that AJ hates Ken for, how he turns into, douche mode for him. But
Yeah.
Janina for sure admitted that she liked it.
He's focused. That guy's intense. I mean, when Ken and I compete, Ken is just as competitive as Summer and I, and that Ken mode it's a motivator. I'll tell you. There was a time when we were in the 4th episode, and it was when the Upper Falls when you and Allie won. He's sitting there and he's yelling at Janina, "Is second place good for you? Is second place good for you?" And then Summer's like running with me, and we're just like, "No, you guys can get second place. We're gonna get first." Like we're running past him, and we were kind of antagonizing that relationship, but that Ken mode, that's entertaining.
And their dynamic too, I think she's probably the only girl that will take it. You know what I mean? Ken is very, for lack of better words, not rude, but he's kind of like very competitive with her.
assertive.
He's very assertive.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's.
It's hard to get a word.
He's not so rude.
Yeah.
I think he realizes that's how they have to communicate. She's a very passionate woman.
Yep.
He's a very passionate man, and they have to be assertive towards each other. You realize that they don't get each other's attention unless they are like, "Hey, I want this." Okay, I respect you. You
And I
take the
think any
reins.
other girl would flip out and yell back at him, and it would turn into an argument. She's just very like, "Okay, Ken, just do this. Okay,
it.
Ken."
I
just
love
do
the way
this."
he described it because he says their relationship is like Ricky and Lucy, and that's exactly what it is.
That's so true.
It's
Very true.
It's exactly what it is. Like when he describes that relationship, it's a passion, but then it's like they get their attention. It's fun.
Except the Latin's on the other foot.
Yeah.
Right?
What
But she is the good comic relief.
Yeah.
For sure. What I really liked about it is that, usually you see Summer in this beast mode in the past couple of episodes. And I think sometimes I've given her a hard time for that. And what I really liked about Summer this episode, I really started to fall in love with her, is that she let you take the reins.
Wow.
She took a back seat.
She never
said-
says
Pressure,
this.
pressure.
No, she said, I'm following you. I'll do what you say. And then you even said how much you appreciated that she put confidence in you. Because for all of us, we saw how patient you were with her. And so we were hoping that at one point she would just kind of let
You don't
go
have to be
a little
nice
bit.
to me because I'm here. You
No,
can tell
I'm
us.
not. I'm telling you,
She
right?
would be mean when you're here too. She won't hold back.
I do not hold back.
Yeah. But no, you're right. There were times when, like, coming out of the cave, she'd let you go. She's like, I'll let you go first. She let you help her down. She wasn't letting those things happen earlier on with other people.
Yeah, there was
The
definitely
softer side.
Yeah, there was a definite. We have a connection that maybe we realized she was on the East Coast, I was on the West Coast, so we wanted to make sure that we were compatible beyond the physical sense. Like we were attracted to each other. There's a scene that they don't show in the Oasis where, we were making out. We really enjoyed each other's company and we were happy with each other. But it's what they show. They're not going to show all that. But we have talks after each of those competitions, and we're like, honest. Okay, I messed up this, and the last episode, I said, hey, I have directions. That's my forte. And she goes, okay, I follow you in that. So that's my responsibilities. If I mess up, that's when I say I messed up. But
It's interesting that you look at it that way. So then we move on to the horses. And these are like wild horses, like as wild as they come. We see Michelle, who has like this crazy race horse. We see Ben, who has this horse that's the sleepy horse. And I mean,
Chase is the short horse.
the short horse,
I've got the midget horse. That's for sure.
the midget horse. And then from there,
Little person.
Little person. Little person. PC.
Then from there, you kind of have two options as to where you're going to go. You can either go into a cave, which has hundreds and hundreds of scrolls that either say try again or you get another piece of the map.
It's actually 3.
3.
Because that water one, because when you go,
Okay.
when you are going down that trail, so we got the piece of the map, we went down the trail. That thing was like 2.5 miles down a very narrow path. And all of our horses had different personalities. But once we got there, the map said you can go 3 ways. And that was the cave, the cliff, and then you can go in the water.
Okay, so they focused on the first 2, but there were 3 options. So it was the cave, tons of scrolls, and they all said try again, try again. There was the cliff where you had to get harnessed up, climb down a cliff, grab the map, and then there was the water where there was just a map. You had to pick up the glass bottle with the map in it. A lot of different things happened. Ben, for one thing, loses his temper completely. At this point, it's not even just Ben losing his temper, but Michelle's like, you know what? I'm done.
But isn't he
I
entertaining
can't.
when he's
Oh,
upset?
of course.
Yeah.
Always.
The best. Like, the best one-liners. Like, my favorite was when they were looking
Not
for
the best ones.
Oh, sorry,
Sorry,
Tim.
Tim.
Forgot about you.
But the best.
My bad, brother.
Forgot about the Tim Meister.
Yeah. Tim does have the best one-liners.
Really? Well, where's your commentary?
I'm working on
Loosen
like
up, listen up.
two brain cells from Vegas, so I'm trying. I'm trying here.
Classic
Tim's
Tim.
been driving from Chicago.
Yeah,
Little
cross
slack.
country.
Well, Ken and Janina get there first, remember? And they said they want to be strategic about it. They thought they're going to go to Cliff first.
Yep.
And both Ben, Ben,
I was like, Ben
Michelle,
and Summer weren't together.
Summer, and
I don't know what
Chase,
you're-
they both decided to go to the cave
Cave.
first.
Yeah.
But you guys got to it first.
Yeah, actually, we were neck and neck, and they decided to go to the cliff. I said, let's go, the
Somewhere
other way,
else.
cave, cliff, and then water. So, yeah, it was one of those things you didn't know where
Didn't
everybody was
even
at.
know.
It was really kind of like, hurry up, but you don't know how much ahead or how far back you are.
Kind of crossing paths as you come out of each
Yeah,
one.
and you're like, you don't know. You know how it is.
No.
It's-
I loved when Janina made fun of Ken when she was like, yeah, I was looking through the scrolls, and here's Ken sitting down reading the newspaper.
What's he doing
And
there?
no, I don't think that was. It was pretty strategic, at least for the most part. He wanted to get some of the reading and the map done while she's reading through the scrolls. Whatever.
Yeah, with that,
Two people. I mean, that was a tough.
It was
a luck of the draw, really.
It was the luck of the draw. I mean, those maps weren't changed in texture from one thing to the other, and it was just like coming down with technique. Summer and I at the end decided like, oh, just open up the edge. Don't undo the whole thing because you want to first just not waste time, but second, you want the other couples to waste time having to like undo those things. So
I was kind of impressed they didn't have as many of the close-ups of like the scorpions, tarantulas, snakes, like wandering the cave.
I thought of AJ when they're
Yeah.
in the cave again because he would say, "Oh, it's the same
Same
cave.
cave.
There's the same snake and same tarantula."
I
he
think it
would.
was actually next door
And the
that we
caves
were
that
looking
he
for
went in were 50
Yes.
times deeper. The horses were 20 times bigger. They had
No,
7
20 times
legs.
smaller.
Yeah, 20
times smaller.
His sister had a cracked vertebrae.
So we all
We
owe
love
a
you,
dollar to the
AJ.
jar. By the way,
Tim, of the 3, which do you think you would have gone to first? Cave, cliff, or the ocean?
The cliff probably.
Yeah.
I don't think I
pick
would
that
have used the
one.
harness either. So,
Nope.
Oh,
just dove.
yeah.
just Spider-Man all your way down.
That's right.
That was a
He would have
beautiful, beautiful cliff.
chucked his partner down. Just bring it up.
He doesn't want to go on a trip for 2, just trip for 1 around the world.
Yeah.
Who would you want to have as your partner out of these remaining women at this point? If you were still in it?
Summer.
Doubt it. No,
Yeah, it's funny. We've all had Summer as partners.
Whoa! Glad
Well,
that
never mind.
Okay,
you know
wait,
what,
wait,
you
wait.
know what I mean.
Do we have
As
a sound effect for that?
so I would say
two of us got dumped.
probably
actually.
Janina.
Winner.
Yeah. Winner takes all.
She's
Janina?
from Chicago too, so
Yeah.
it's funny. I really didn't even say much to her on the show, but like after the fact, obviously being in the same city, I know who she is, and a little common thread there. So
Nice.
I think you touched on something. You said the cliff was really pretty, and I thought when I was
Yeah,
watching,
I
I said
mean-
that's probably the second, if not first, best view I've seen on the show.
When we were going,
the
when we
waterfalls
got,
one.
well, the waterfalls was beautiful,
Yeah.
but when we were initially on the catamarans,
Yeah.
you know how scenic that was? Like, we must have passed by this thing. It was
Yeah.
shallow water. It was beautiful. I mean, and even Summer touched on it. She's like, this is really beautiful. Like, you take a second, you look around, and you know how it is. Like, 5
And then
hours.
you're like,
in the-
okay.
Gotta go.
okay, now I gotta grab the tarantula and run like 300 meters and toss this like coconut, whatever. But it was really, you really appreciate those moments when you're with
Calm
somebody.
before the storm, or in between, I guess.
I think my favorite was the top of the trail just before you go down into the waterfall. Remember that? Allie and I were about 4 minutes behind, so we had time to like sit and just watch everything, and you
And
can
cry?
see it.
Was Allie
Yeah,
crying?
that's about when she started crying.
Hey, we got a competition.
No.
Yeah.
I got to see this. It's a little longer.
I'm not gonna
All right.
lie. I was very happy that you took Allie.
And you know what? And
I'm sure you're happy
and
with
Jason and I actually talked about saw Jason the other day at an audition, and I was disappointed neither of you guys like mentioned to me anything at all.
it. Why do you think when we were talking, you were like, you know, they don't show the strategy, but you were like, Chase, you know, who do you want? I want Allie. I was like,
Take her.
I'm keeping quiet to myself.
Take
I'm
her.
like, you know, I was playing it close to my
It's not like
chest,
he
and it
was
was like,
lying.
okay.
He wasn't lying, technically. He just
True.
kept his mouth closed.
True.
Anyway, so Summer and Chase have a lead into the banana plantation. In the banana plantation, there is a chest of gold. You guys are looking for a while, and all of a sudden, Ken and Janina come smack past you. They see it right away after you guys have been looking forever. Steal first from you.
It was heartbreaking. I mean, what can you really say? You're like, I've got the lead.
Bye, Oasis.
You're like, oh,
At the same time, you had to have been at least a little happier for your friends because you'd been to the Oasis before. They hadn't.
yeah. Summer.
Oh, I don't know if at that point you're happy for
Well,
that.
again, it's luck. Again, I think it was luck of the draw. You guys
Yeah,
were first place, and you don't know where it is. There's no strategy to find out where this thing is buried, and then boom, someone's just lucky and finds it. Not lucky, but
it
whatever.
really is luck of the draw. Like
At that
it could have
point.
been
At
Ben
that
and
point.
Michelle
Anyone.
that was first, like because we were all real close to each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, Ben
You know
and
what?
Michelle
I
could have
think
been.
we actually have a phone call. Who's calling?
I must be boring.
Is it Ben?
Hello.
There, I must be boring.
We have Ben Clark on the line, who we were just about to start talking smack about.
Wait. Do we have a translator?
I know. I thought you would.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Hey, Benny.
English Chase. How you doing, mate?
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you lot?
We're lovely. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Tim, wake up.
Yeah, I know. Someone needs to taser me, I think.
So,
You're looking nice. Chase, where's the wedding at? Looks like you're going to a wedding, son.
Hey, I'm dressing up like you these days, man.
Good lad.
so Ben, you were a bit of a toddler on this episode.
Yeah, what happened?
You've had a couple tantrums in the past, but this was kind of like your first fight with, your new mate, and you're doing it on wide television, nationwide television. What do you have to say after seeing that episode?
It just, I don't know, it wasn't very good, really. My horse was, it's just the whole thing. I messed up the map. I couldn't get the bearings. I probably went to it 4 times. And then I just got more and more frustrated because we had that 30-second lead, and then I completely ballsed it up. And then my horse, everyone literally had these stallions that were galloping through the jungle, and I'm just like trotting through like I'm going, on a Sunday stroll, and it was a nightmare. I was so far behind
Ben.
everyone else, me and Michelle.
Hey Ben, remember as long as you get that horse's attention, right?
Say again?
Remember the stopping?
Explain to us.
There was a point
Inside
where
jokes.
the horses were just going too fast, and for safety, we had to stop. And Ben remembers that. Say it, Ben.
So, yeah, there was 2 horses, and Michelle had the mental one, and I did the gallant, gentlemanly thing on the way back. They didn't show this. So I took her horse that was mental, and she took the slow one. And I'm like, it's trying to eat me as I'm climbing on, and it's buckarooing. And the adventure guy who's in charge of all the adventures, he gets his notepad and he raps the horse on the face. And I'm like, mate, you're just making it more angry. And she's like, yes, but I got its attention. And he slapped
Your
the
face
horse's
was priceless
backside
then.
and sent me careering through the jungle. And
No animal cruelty
went
laws
through my
there,
head like, should I
apparently.
jump off at least 2 or 3 times?
Oh God, your face was so scared when I saw that. You were just like, "Are you serious?"
How long did it take for you and Michelle to kiss and make up after all of your mistakes that day?
I was every sort of 2 minutes I had where there was a bit of a rest.
In
I
the
was
doghouse.
apologising the whole time throughout the whole adventure. I was saying sorry throughout the whole adventure. But yeah, we
Well,
were
they took
fine.
those parts
she's
out.
fine. She calmed me down. She's the cool head. So yeah, we were fine pretty much as soon as the adventure was finished.
What was going through your head when you were waiting for the decision at the end to see if you're going to get a stay or not?
I was shitting myself. I had no idea. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah,
Of course.
We're on the web. You can do anything you
I
want.
mean, we don't encourage it, but
But with you, when you do it, it sounds so pretty. It's fine.
No one understands what I say anyway. I have subtitles half the time. So yeah, I had no idea. I was happy. I was really happy, and But the whole thing, those ceremonies are just they're like a roller coaster. You don't know what's going to happen. And with all the twists and everything that had gone on throughout the whole thing, I was just sort of glad that the verdict, they'd given a name.
Ben, before the elimination ceremony, there was an interesting scene in which you were sitting down with Janina and Ken and Summer and Chase, and you were saying, not the nicest things about Summer and Chase's relationship. Do you have a change of mind now that a couple months have passed and they're still together?
Well,
they proved you wrong, didn't they?
I'll say it to their face. I think I don't. At least I say it to their face. I honestly, at that point, didn't think they were. They were like, two geezers going through the jungle, bashing everyone's heads in and getting to the finish line.
We were kicking everybody's butt.
Summer's a good athlete, and Chase, Summer was for me the better athlete of the two. No offense, Chase.
Hey.
And I honestly didn't think. Who am I to judge her? My opinion's not worth its weight in salt. Everyone has an opinion, and that's why I got along with Summer, because she said it how it was, whether it was black or white. My opinion means nothing. That was my opinion at the time, and Summer had her opinion, and that's what life's all about. It's a game of opinions, and in the long run. But I don't, they're still together, which is brilliant, and obviously they know. The strength of their relationship.
We know what we were talking about when we said it.
Hey, Ben, do you think there was any kind of strategy whatsoever in that?
You what, mate?
Any kind of strategy whatsoever, just to highlight the fact that they were a better competitive couple for Ken and Janina?
Oh, yeah. I said when I got to the finish line, I said if Ken and Janina have got any sense about them, then they'll pick Michelle and I, because obviously Summer can swim like a shark, and Chase can ride on her back, and they can, they're solid in all the adventures. But did that answer the question? Was that even right? Was that the question?
Definitely. I was kind of curious. I was curious about Chase too. If he kind of knew going into that Ken and Janina would be smart about it and not choose friends, but choose someone who's not as competitive.
Ben, I don't know if you knew this, but we had a discussion, episode 4, between Ken, myself, for a while, saying that if we got to the final couples, it was going to be Summer and I and Janina and Ken.
AfterBuzz TV exclusive. AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
So
yes. Look at that. Delisa's left, right, and centre. Tim, what do you think about you're being very quiet, son?
What do you want to know?
I want to know your thoughts on this matter, my friend. Well, I don't like seeing you sat on the outskirts with your arms crossed, not smiling.
I've been out for a while, huh? I've been out the show.
He's still mending his broken heart after Summer sent him home. What are you talking about?
This is not broken.
Way to.
No, I'm fine with it, but I've been having fun, watching these guys on the show, but I kept waiting. The twist that I wanted was, when are we gonna bring Tim back?
I heard about that. I heard that you were thinking for that twist.
Throw him with Jenny or somebody.
Actually, I asked to be with Jenny when I got kicked off.
Did you?
I asked her to be my partner, and she said no, but they didn't air any of that.
But Ben, the whole adventure between us, I know that we always had that banter going on, but when it came down to it, I'm very happy that you and Michelle are together. So
cheers, mate.
Oh, love Ben.
And I know
Likewise.
And when it came down to the decision, going back to the question, Ken and Janina had thought about that, and we had talked about it. Whether they chose to keep that or not was on them. It wasn't a big deal. I think all three of us succeeded at that time with our relationships, and we're very happy with where we're all at, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree, mate. I agree.
Well, Ben.
Wait, so Ben, where do you live right now?
I'm floating around. I'm rolling, I'm a rolling stone, my man. I'm a raconteur. I'm just going from state to state.
Which states is
You just checked into a Hooters on Facebook.
Is that a sexual reference?
I may have done.
Will you and Michelle be in the same city anytime soon?
I think so, yeah. Possibly.
Permanently?
Possibly, yeah.
Well, thanks for calling in, Ben.
Thank you.
No problem.
I'll see you in DC this weekend, Ben.
See you, mate.
See you, Ben.
Why do you think everybody gave you and Summer such a hard time on your relationship?
If you were to see, you have to focus on the fact that we were able to beat people. like by a large margin. The one that you exited on, we beat everybody by 6 minutes. Everybody was 10 seconds close. I mean, when you see somebody open up the gap like that, you're just like, what's going on? You have to dig on our relationships. I mean, you have to dig on it. Like, they're not a real relationship. They're just really efficient. You got to look at it, hey, if you're efficient, that means you're working together, and that's what a relationship's about. And Summer and I were.
Well, I'll be honest, I thought it was a business relationship as well, too.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You guys aren't in the bedroom, and you're not having our conversations.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I bet you could find some really good relationship books on
on Amazon.
Amazon.com.
I bet so.
Like 50 Shades of Grey?
or 50 Shades of Grey as well. Maybe some fun little toys or GPS devices or
Don't bring up
Toys.
GPS.
Yeah, but you wouldn't go straight to Amazon, right?
Well, no, of course not. We would not go straight to Amazon.
No.
We would go to AfterBuzzTV.com, click on the little Amazon affiliate ad banner in the top right corner, and from there, anytime you make a purchase for Amazon, just gives us a little kickback, keeps the lights on, keeps the hosts here, and also, most importantly, it gets all of our episodes to you for free.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, sometimes podcasts, they charge you. We're absolutely free. iTunes, YouTube, streaming to you. We love it when you leave the comments, rate us. We do read them. AJ definitely reads them. And we really, really appreciate
That was
you
an
for
international call right there. We had to pay for it.
international, maybe from, what, Georgia?
I have no idea.
Rome, I'm sure.
But it keeps the phone lines going, the cable access to everything. What'd you say?
That was
Had a
good.
girl.
She's from Rome, right?
International in Rome.
Yeah.
I like how it was like an
Anyway,
it was
yeah.
an underlying like comment and
it went-
wait, what do you mean? Please
Right.
explain. Like it was supposed to go over
Right,
there.
right. I'm sorry, guys. Anyways, let's stay on topic here and get to, you know, Ken and Janina go to the Oasis. You guys have the tension building at the cabins. There's a big decision to be made here. So what's, you know, we only saw just a little bit. We talked to Ben about some of the tension that went on there, but was it always tension? Did you guys have at least some time to enjoy each other?
Yeah, we had a lot more time to ourselves, but I mean, once Jesse, Allie, the whole group exited, there was no socializing. It was just the couples. And so
Yeah.
you hung out with each other, you got to know each other, and that's where the relationships were really developed. But it was just, you know, talking the whole time and hanging out with each other. Summer and I went swimming, hung by the pool. You know, Ben and Michelle did the same thing. We had the room next to each other so you could hear them giggle and laugh the whole time. So it was kind of funny. But yeah, it was just kind of like it was our mini Oasis. We were just hanging out with each other.
I'm curious. Role reversal.
I was
If
gonna
you
say.
guys had won, who would you have chosen to stay?
Ken and Janina.
You'd,
Guarantee.
Without
A doubt, without a hesitation. There was a point in that competition where we knew we had a lead and we yelled over to Ken and Janina, and we legitimately had a 2-minute lead. We're picking you to go with us. And we had confidence in ourselves, and we realized that. We wouldn't have picked Ben and Michelle. We would have picked Ken and Janina. First off, not to say that Ben and Michelle's relationship is anything bad. I would never judge another person's relationship. But Ken and Janina had been together for the longest. We saw that they had the strongest bond. And also, you know, we want to beat them.
So did you try to form a pact with them?
We did.
You
did in episode 4.
Yep, he mentioned it a little.
Okay.
Yeah, we said we were going to take, because what happened was we were looking at the strategy of what would happen if they replayed the stuff from last season. And it was like, okay, well, there was a point where they made everybody switch. And if that was the thing, Ken's like, I only trust you to be with Janina. I said, I only trust you to be with Summer.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay.
We were thinking that it was going to be a final 3 again, that they were going to do some sort of a swap last minute, or
Oh, yeah, I got to
there'd
get back
be
to the
another-
Dominican so we can go
Yeah,
for that.
right. Well, no, I mean, what I mean to say is that rather than having a top 2, that it was going to be a top 3. Because last season, interestingly enough, there were a lot of parallels. They did do where 4 people decided to go to the unmatched area. They had the little trivia segment, and still after that they had 3 couples go to the finals, and then from there it was 1, 2, 3. It wasn't like down to 2. So we thought, like, okay, you know what, I bet you it's going to be another teaser, there's going to be another twist, something else is going to happen, like maybe they'll bring back Tim.
It was unfortunate. But
Tim, you should really try to become the host next season. It would be really entertaining.
yeah. I got some.
That would be
I've got some
wild
ideas.
and love.
Yeah, wild love. Frat house love.
Tim and the
And
Wilds.
Cake and booze and pools.
Rum cake.
Vote Tim to be the next Bachelor.
That's right. I'd be a pretty big wild card.
But you're saying the parallels?
Yeah, it was. So we were thinking for sure that there was gonna be down to 3 people. We didn't actually think that that you were gonna end up going home.
Trust me, I was hoping that wouldn't happen. But yeah, there's a lot of parallels, and so that's what we base that on.
And it was interesting that when Ken was describing you during the elimination ceremony, he said that you're a man of integrity, and yet he chose to break the pact.
Yeah.
I honestly, if I was trying to win a trip around the world, and I was looking at Ben and Michelle and myself in Summer, I would not choose myself in Summer. Like, you're really trying to put the reward at risk. So he did what was best for his relationship. Haven't hated him or haven't talked ill of him. I always kind of antagonize him a little bit, and I antagonize Ben and Michelle, saying, hey, you guys want to compete against the best, let's all get together, let's go for it, you know what I mean?
You do bring up a good point, though. Ken's always tried to be this man of morals, hence the argument with...
We know Jesse.
Yeah.
I see the nostrils flaring.
So for him to not stay true to his word at the end is kind of, not really who he claims to be this whole time, too.
But keeping in his fashion, I'm not speaking on your situation, he does stick with what's best for Janina. And so with that situation, whatever reason it may have been that he felt that was threatened, he stood up for it. Okay, he went over too much, whatever. But also in this situation, he did what was best for Janina, and he is focused on that relationship. And I think that's the most that's integrity. You're keeping true to your lady, and you're willing to go back on your own word for your lady. So I think that's a big thing.
Were you surprised, Jesse?
No, not at all. Actually, I think Janina was right when she said, I mean, again, a lot of times throughout this entire adventure, she had always been right in a lot of things, whether it's on an adventure and he says, let's do this. And she's like, no, let's do this. And he doesn't listen. Then he goes back and says, I'm sorry. Same exact thing happened here, right? He said, I want to do this. She said, no, that's not the smart thing to do. He said, okay, you're right. And he went, I think, with the smart choice.
What are you going to say?
Yeah, no, I agree, because she was saying, she's like, I don't want to compete against an Olympian,
Yeah.
She's like, I can't
She's
do it.
really forgetting that I'm
If
a pretty good competitor too. I don't know about this, but I was there with Summer.
I know. Well, that's the thing. That's one of the things that I was saying is that before we knew that you had the Marine background. At the same time, they were showing Summer as being the really, really tough one, and so we were kind of like, when is she just gonna let him take charge, or when are we gonna see him really step it up? And then that's finally, that's part of why I loved this episode, is we got to actually see and appreciate the chemistry between you two that we hadn't before.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you.
So, and now we have you here.
But she bagged on you
which
for
we'll
not
talk
knowing
about.
how to do the GPS for
Trust me.
And I even backed you up. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw that. There was. I mean, I know for Ken, for Ben, and myself in the last episode prior, we were tearing down trees and just hurting ourselves trying to get that GPS. There was no trail for that GPS. We had to literally tear down trees.
Wow.
I said, I think everybody probably had the same issue.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you're going in, like you said,
you got to walk a few feet before
luck.
it actually.
It's skill and luck.
What was
So
the,
go ahead. No, I'm going to move on to something else.
I was
curious.
I was just going to ask what the toughest thing for you guys out there was, like whether it was a certain adventure or whether it was just like keeping your head about you or what it was. The hardest thing.
Go ahead,
all
Chase.
of you guys.
Actually, Tim, since you went out first.
Tim.
I mean, none of the adventures were. I mean, they were tough. But for me, the toughest thing was just swallowing that I got smacked metaphorically with cake on my head. So I was just blindsided. So that was just the tough. Like after that happened, I was by myself, like throwing punches and ninja kicks, saying like, "How did that happen?" And I had no clue. So.
Yeah, you walked off saying, "I feel like I was just blindsided." I remember walking off
because
saying
I mean,
So serious.
she was straight with you guys, saying, "Hey, there's, I feel like we're friends." You
and we had a conversation beforehand.
And then I asked her at the pool earlier that day, "Hey, were you happy that you made this decision?" And I apologized to her, and she's like, "Yeah, we're talking about our family and all this other stuff." And then at the ceremony, there was no warning, so obviously, if she said this isn't working out with the red flags and stuff like that, it could have been told to me, but it's also a strategy of if I remind her of an ex-boyfriend like that, you want me gone. You don't want someone else taking me and then like having like reminders or anything like that, or she probably knew I was a tough competitor too. So
if the viewers don't remember which episode he went off on, they could probably go back and Download is the word, right?
They could find it on iTunes. And actually, I was about to say that all of us are live tweeting. We're all very into our tweets.
Or being
Shout out
tweeted.
Being tweeted. Shout out to Drunk Lohan, who's been tweeting Jesse this show. We just want to say, whether you're tweeting us on iTunes, leaving comments, please, please, please download the show. Tell your friends. And also, we have a new app. It's called the podcast app. You can pick your favorite shows, of course, all on AfterBuzz, and download them that way immediately directly to this app. You can find it on your smartphone and listen to us there. So shout out to Drunk Lohan. Jesse says hi.
that was an inappropriate text or tweet, I think.
Is she older than 10, this one?
If she's using words like that, I hope so. Yeah, I'll show you that. You'll see it.
10, maybe like older than 18. 21 preferably. Moving on to the
18 is
elimination.
well, hold on.
Chase
Chase has to answer the question.
What am I answering?
What was the toughest thing about being out there?
The toughest thing about being out there was
What?
Okay, right.
I would say the toughest thing was I didn't find any of it tough. I thought it was
tough guy. Not even the GPS?
No, I was just confused. It wasn't tough. I don't get frazzled easy. So it wasn't that it was tough. I mean, the most physically demanding one was the one that Jesse and I were on, where you won with Ali, because we went all the way to the top of the hill and had to redo that course again. That was over 2,200 feet in elevation change, and I think it was over 6 miles in length. And we pretty much had to do another 3 miles and elevation with that.
Uphill both ways.
Yep.
The
snow.
In the snow. When I was young.
No, I'll agree with him. Physically, that was the hardest thing for me.
I was going to say, I thought Allie would be the...
Oh, yeah.
Well, here, no.
Putting up with the tears
my answer is threefold.
Okay.
Physically, that was the toughest one for us. It was more grueling than you could possibly imagine, and you didn't get to see half of what was going on. Mentally, the most frustrating thing was Ken calling me out and me being character bashed by that alliance, if you will. You, Summer.
You weren't being bashed by us. You had questioned Summer.
When we came into the bar afterward, I got yelled at by you and Summer as well. You guys both jumped on that side. Jenna, a couple other people who hadn't met me yet. In that conversation, that was the most mentally frustrating and irritating thing for me. And I was literally tearing up. And because I had never
really fired about it right now.
Oh, without a doubt. Emotionally, the hardest thing for me was dealing with Allie. I had from day one, she was the only one I really truly liked, and it turned out it was all for nothing for the most part.
Chase, you want to clear something up?
Well, no, I respect anything that he finds emotionally, physically, mentally, draining. With that situation, when I barked at you, because they don't show it or they showed it in a clip. Was just because I felt it was in defense because you had said something to Summer. It wasn't until you had said something to Summer that I barked back at you. And it wasn't in any way.
Whatever I said to her was justified. I don't.
Well, you said I'm tired of people talking trash behind my back.
Yeah, because
I said I'm not talking trash behind your back. I said I'm talking it to your face.
At that point, once I came into the conversation, I walked up to the table.
I was more upset with Ali than anything in that situation.
No one said that.
Well,
that's the problem.
I didn't know
not
you.
A single person.
I only knew
she
Ali.
sat there in the same group while everyone was talking about me.
Well, I'm just telling you from my point because you said it to me.
And not a single person called her out for, what happened.
If you'd look at my interviews, you would see that.
I blame Allie for everything.
Yeah.
I don't fully blame her.
In the end, things are good with you guys now, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yep. No need to dig up
This
the
is
past.
4 months ago. This is
Yeah.
a long time ago.
You can't help it. You want to get your 2 cents in. All right. On to the elimination, which was emotional for all of you because you'd put so much time into it, so much physical strength into it. Janina's crying. Did you guys think at all, were you at all confident, that maybe they would still pick you guys, or were you really on the edge?
We were split Ken and Janina. I thought Ken would keep his word. I said there's a good chance he's going to keep his word. Summer's like, let's pack our bags and enjoy the sun. So I was like, okay. We packed our bags, enjoyed the sun, chilled out, prepared for that. But, there was a little bit, a 10% chance. You're like, oh, okay, this could happen if he really is going to keep to that.
And I think mostly you did a good job of harping on the the friendship part of it, and the emotional part of it, maybe that would speak to them and make them choose. You really brought that out, and you really kind of made them feel bad, if you will, hoping they would. I mean, it's smart. Is what it was.
The heart.
Yep, and that was an interesting thing. They did let you each speak your piece.
Yeah, I mean, it was that's such a tough situation. It was hard to watch that again.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't even know. It was one of those really confusing times. It kind of, in that moment, I think I could speak for Ben, myself, Michelle, and Summer, that we all spoke from the heart. There was no acting or trying to be something we're not. We were just speaking from our hearts, and we genuinely all wanted each other to stay. But unfortunately, we couldn't.
I thought you and Summer were really articulate in what you were trying to say. I kind of started to get a little upset with the way that Ben was saying that I'm not going to say anything about their relationship, but, you know, didn't you think that, DJ?
Yeah. Basically all they said, I didn't like how they were claiming that yours wasn't a real relationship, because I kind of agree with Summer. Just because something might not be as hot and heavy and what, like she said, basically they're effing, and you know, and it's true. Like, I think that's not necessarily just because if you're
it's hot and roll.
Well, I'm saying I won't say that a great relationship is just because bam, you know, hit it off right away. Like, a lot of that fizzles out, you know, and fades. So I do respect the fact that you guys maybe weren't as up in your face about it as they were, and with her jugs and all of that, you know, you had a more like
how many times have you did it? How many times have we did it?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it.
Think we're beating you.
That's what it felt like.
That
from
was the
them
competition.
To me.
That was the scorecard.
And I felt like you guys were more strategic about reasons why you should stay, and that. And
you know,
I did feel like that's.
If Summer and I didn't get along, Summer was somebody to speak her mind and would let it go. We understood that. With Ben, I think that was a perfect strategy on his part. Like, he brought it up to me. Hey, you pulled on the wrench art. Well, he pulled on the relationship side, and that was his strength. And unfortunately, we were the brunt end of it, and it sucks.
Who cares? You know, like, who cares whether it's a love relationship or whether it's a friendship? Jesse, you know, initially with you and Summer, you talked about doing the thing as friends. If you're gonna, it's your, you know,
it's our relationship, and unfortunately, we had to put it out there for other people to judge, to make a decision upon, and it really stinks, because that's like, okay, let me welcome you into my bedroom, let me welcome you into my relationship, and explain how I feel. And I have to now validate it with you.
We talk about the bedroom a lot on this show.
Yeah.
Even though no one really had a bedroom ever. Oasis wasn't even a bedroom.
Yeah, it was just wide open.
Yeah. Wide open spaces.
But it was just one of those things. Like, Summer and I we built a strong relationship. We're still together, as they show, and we're very happy with each other. She and I get along great. We talk all day, every day. But it came down to the fact that we didn't want to put ourselves out there, because we didn't want to say something we would regret. We were more focused on our relationship than winning a prize. And the competition's great, but it was to stay with each other another day, and maybe we didn't feel the need to voice that out.
I think it was just the perception it's obvious there's a perception out there that it wasn't. And I'm not saying that it's not, and I don't think they're saying that they know for a fact it's not a relationship. I'm saying I agree with why he said it. Because it's a perception, right?
No, I thought it was a strategy.
Exactly, and that's what he brought up, and he knew that Ken and Gina would be like, well, they would think the show is called Love in the Wild, right? So if the perception of you two is a business relationship, whether it is or isn't, then if they're smart, they're going to, or not smart, but if they're going to go with their hearts, they're going to go with someone who's in love.
They justifiably made those choices upon who is going to, Ben and Michelle, the weaker competitor, and they use that as a scapegoat. Because I bet you if Summer and I had been hot and heavy, they would have said, you guys are too hot and heavy, and it's too lustful. And, you know, Ben and Michelle, we see something.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's what it was.
You know?
So there's a scapegoat for everything, but that's not really. They used it. They used it in all the ploys. I wrenched the heart of Ken, and he called me later and said, I almost freaking cried. I hated you so much for it. And then, with Ben.
What particular...
Well, because he saw Janina hurting. And then it was just like, hey, you know, when he was speaking about my integrity, I guess, which I haven't found yet.
Well, and I thought that, you know, the point is, though, is that, like, who really cares about what the motives are at the end of the day? It is a competition. And one thing that we talked about is, who cares whether it's love? Who cares whether it's friendship? Who cares if they're not even friends? Like, I would leave my partner and go around the world. I don't know. I mean, you made the decision to leave.
We had a strong, and Jesse knows, we had a strong feeling. If you weren't there for the right reasons, you shouldn't be there.
And that's why I got called out.
What do you
so
think?
that's why I have a little more emotionally invested in that argument, because that's why I was called out. They said Ken basically thought I was staying out of selfish reasons just to piss him off.
But, in that situation, it wasn't, in that whole situation, whatever it may be, I look at it for Allie. Allie made the decision. Allie's the one who put you in that situation.
Well, that's neither here nor there at this point. I mean, the argument about just going as friends or love.
You didn't want to stay in the game if you weren't going to be in love.
And there was a strong bond among the group there that if you weren't there it was a pack. If you weren't there for the right reasons, get out.
Well, I think that's what I mean is that like we were kind of trying to figure it out. Like, are you there to find love, or are you there to go around the world, or are you there for both? And I think that's kind of where there was a lot of drama that happened, and that's why Jesse chose to go home, and that's why you're down to the floor, and that's also why again, that's why when Ben's trying to make all of these different accusations about your relationship, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know how you can be there for the wrong reasons.
Again, it's that perception that they were there for a business relationship. So, makes sense. So that's what his argument is. His argument is, okay, it's not love. You guys aren't in for love. You shouldn't be here. That's the perception. I'm not saying it's right.
No.
Well, I should have never even gotten casted then.
See, there was a lot of people who went on, and they certainly weren't there for the wrong reason. I'm not going to call anybody out. I mean, I don't know. I don't know your intentions.
I said I was open to it, but I said the odds of, I was.
But you were open to it.
From the beginning, you said that?
Yeah, I mean, the odds of, love is very tough to find. So I knew personally I was going to be a wild card in that. Well, for one thing, they also got rid of me at the exact wrong time. A guy
when all the girls come.
When a new troop of girls come in, you get rid of the Tim
quote unquote sluts too, right? So that's perfect time for Tom.
I would have had fun with that. Nice
I do find that interesting about this reality show is that the other ones there's all either money involved or but this one for you guys to actually walk off or want to leave when you're not finding love, I just find that interesting because I do feel like a lot of people are in your shoes that go on these shows. They're like, I don't really think I'm going to find it, but I just want to go have the experience, or I want to promote my own business, or I want to do, or they want to win. But
money,
you guys,
though.
You really want to find love.
I would still want to win a trip around the world with somebody I'm not in love with.
I could go and take it away from someone else. I think like the claim to fame for Love in the Wild and what they base it on. I mean, their cornerstone is that the last two the first and second team from last year, they're still together. First, second, third team from this year, they're still together. That's a track record. You look at Bachelor and all these other ones, there's two together, 2.5. They're together, whatever it is.
All the producers of this show, and we can all agree, of the guys, we know that they're passionate about it. Every time they're like, this is a track record, we believe in this is a system that we want. It's
a selling point.
It's a selling point. And
definitely.
We all went in, whether Tim admits it or not, with the off chance that we could find it.
Well, and that's the thing. I think 90% of the people went on not really to find it. And not even yours open to it. There was other people that weren't open to it whatsoever, and and that's what really upset me because it screwed some people in some of the choices, right? Because then you find out, okay, they're not there for the right reasons. Totally screwed me up in my strategy or scheming, whatever you want to call it. It messed with me and wasted my time and then other people's as well.
You still got a vacation.
I did. No, it's a great experience. I wouldn't take it back. I would do it all over again. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, we are going to take a commercial break. When we get back, we're going to see where Chase and Summer are now in their relationship and some more news and gossip on Jenny McCarthy.
Hey there, good buddies. The handle's Woolly Bear. I'm a truck driving man, but I'm not that old school kind of truck driving man, no. I like to listen to podcasts while I'm driving through these great United States of ours. And my favorite podcasts in the world are from AfterBuzz TV. And why? Because AfterBuzz TV is like a post-game wrap-up show for all your favorite TV shows, like Jersey Shore, Dancing with the Stars, Mad Men, and a whole truckload more. I like listening to my Gossip Girl podcast, catching up with all my fellow fans and getting all the latest news and gossip. I got some strong opinions. And AfterBuzz TV lets me share those opinions with thousands of other listeners. Woo-wee, what a feeling. I used to doze off on those lonely stretches of road. And don't worry, I got the cruise control. But now I'm wide awake and listening to all the AfterBuzz TV goodness. Check them out. Give them a holler. And tell them the old Woolly Bear sent you.
Bear. Old Timmy Bear over there.
Yeah, he's kind of like the old Woolly Bear.
Yeah, the old Timmy Bear.
You just drove across the United States.
He reminds me of Teddy Ruxpin right now. I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
Push his tummy. What happened?
It was.
I love you.
You should go push his tummy.
I gotta get that changed.
My cord won't stretch that
He is
long.
on the couch, the casting couch.
I have been the guy on the couch for a while.
Nobody else knows that.
I shouldn't admit to that.
Well, welcome back to Love in the Wild AfterBuzz TV. Let's get some news and gossip, shall we?
AfterBuzz TV News.
Jenny McCarthy, the host of Love in the Wild, is in love. She found love not in the wild in Chicago. She's currently dating Brian Urlacher of the Chicago Bears, and they just started quietly dating in April. She's already moving to Chicago.
That a girl, Jenny.
I back that 100% because I'm a Bears fan, and he is my favorite player. So
Really?
Yeah.
She has a 10-year-old son, Evan.
Yeah, I guess he goes to school out there. I ran into her yesterday, and she was saying she was moving Thursday. She's really excited.
As early as Thursday. And, you know, it's kind of crazy because her son is still in therapy after her and Jim Carrey broke up after being together for 5 years. This was reported in Page 6, and this is being in therapy is what she told Howard Stern on his show when she was promoting Love in the Wild a couple of months back.
I think it's great. Get her family out in a good, Chicago,
Midwest.
out toward the
I
Midwest.
guess, but I guess her son goes to school out there too. So like that's where he's at. So she's gonna head out there.
Good reasoning. And she'll still be commuting back and forth from LA to New York. And
in her Pinto or private jet?
I don't know. You tell me.
Commuting.
Right. That's the terminology that was
Yeah.
used.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's exactly what I was going to do. But someone else doing a little bit of commuting over here, Chase.
Yeah, Summer and I have been visiting each other probably like every other week, flying out between each other's houses, and it's going great. And hopefully,
You met the family.
I met the family. She's met my family. We've gone from Santa Barbara to Las Vegas to. We still haven't done zip lining. We're looking at that.
Was the wine tasting in Santa Barbara?
No, the wine tasting was in Temecula. We were supposed to ride horses so we could try to do it again. So we were trying to just have some fun out there. But we've been all around, California, showing her everything. And hopefully this upcoming fall, she'll be moving here. It's sounding promising. I'm very excited. And yeah.
And she's in Florida, correct?
She's in Florida. We're just trying to see if it's going to work that way. But it seems to be on a streamlined path for that.
You'd never go over there? Or she would just prefer to come over here?
Right now, she preferred to come over here. I would not have a problem going over there. Yeah.
What do you both do for a living now?
I work for a spirit company. I sell Svetka. I sell Svetka
Got
vodka.
spirits under the desk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I sell Svetka vodka for Southern California, so I'm in charge of the whole distribution for Southern California. And then
Hook me up.
oh god, and my number one customer.
We can drink our weight in
It's sitting
Svedka.
right here.
I have 3 cases in the car for you, buddy. And then she does medical device sales. She's really established in that. She's been doing it for 10 years. We're both really established in our careers, and it would be a big change, but we're willing to make it for each other.
And how are things going now with Ken and Janina? Do you guys keep in touch? Hanging out?
Because the show's not over, I won't say anything, but I know both couples are doing really good, and they're really happy, and they're not going to stop getting texts from me beating them up that they did not choose us.
Have they texted you tonight? Were they like,
Oh,
so
yeah.
sorry?
I talked to him like a half an hour ago, and I guess Summer's down with Janina and Ken right now, and Janina kind of had a little tear again, saying, reliving the situation, but they're sweethearts. They were really. I got on the phone with Ken. Well, Chase, you need to have that. Go on that show and have a good time. Okay, Ken. He has that John Wayne voice.
So I noticed you got her name right this time.
Janina. Yeah.
On that episode, you said Janina.
Yeah. It
took you a while
I'm
to
half
Yeah,
Portuguese.
whatever.
I'm half Portuguese, so I get the accent in that. Janina.
Oh, there you go. Tim, do you have any
Nice
news
to-
and gossip over there?
Well, you're shacking
I
up with
actually
him
asked him,
right now,
yeah.
right? You guys
Tim,
are
Yeah.
if anybody's out there looking for a roommate, Tim is now laying it in my place on my floor. So I need him out there as soon as possible.
Yes.
It's killing my dating life.
Or it could help you.
Could it?
A wingman.
Could it?
How could the Tim Meister not
wingman.
help you? I'm just saying.
Also true.
Yeah,
I mean, look at the shirt.
that's right.
That's a walking billboard.
Yeah.
Jesse, any news and gossip that you can share with us?
Not that I know of. Actually, Ben may join me in DC this weekend. I'm going out there Thursday through Sunday. Hopefully, I can get Ben up.
What's the occasion?
Host a party, have fun. I lived in DC for 9 years, so see some friends.
One thing that was news and gossip is you know, they're gonna have their finale in Chicago.
Yep.
And Jenny McCarthy's gonna be there. I talked to her and she confirmed that she's gonna show up to their finale party. So it's gonna be Ken, Janina, Ben and Michelle, and Jenny McCarthy all out there.
Myself and
yourself.
Christian will be out there as well.
Christian,
I might be out there.
And Ken or Tim's thinking about it.
We'll have to do a live stream or something.
Possibly.
Trying to
You guys
get
can
you
all
guys
call in.
You probably don't want us calling
Get
in
the Skype in?
after a bar.
Oh no,
No, we do.
We do.
That'd be
Yeah,
perfect.
true. Good
AJ
point.
would love that.
We'd get all the dirt.
Give Jason a few cocktails. All right, guys. So predictions for next week, the finale.
And now, your AfterBuzz
that was-
TV predictions.
I'm gonna give this one to Tim. Tim, who do you see winning Love in the Wild?
Boy.
Is Tim still in it?
Who's got a coin? Yeah, now that I'm not in it.
I'm coming back.
Whoever,
Tim's coming back.
He's like,
A new
what,
twist, a new twist.
what show are we talking about? I'm not even watching anymore.
well, I'm pretty good buddies with Ben, so I've been rooting for Ben. So I don't know Michelle, but you know, I know Ben, and it looks like they've got a pretty strong relationship. So that's who I'm rooting for, I guess. So.
And what about you guys? I know you probably have a little bit of inside scoop, but maybe you don't. So when you initially left, who did you think we were going to have winning?
your hands are shaking. You're a little nervous right now.
Going back and forth.
You know, I'm just gonna go like he said with who he knows best, and my friend is Ken, so I'll go with Ken. You know, it's just who I knew better and who I knew to be a strong competitor.
And I think we know where my allegiance lies.
There's 2 Ben, 1 Ken.
I'm
JJ.
going Ben and Michelle.
I know.
Yeah, I think
I'm
they're
Team
gonna
Ben
do it.
Shell.
I hope they all tie and they can all go around the world
Together.
and,
Ken, Gina,
and bring
With their
me.
I'm in your
dogs.
corner, guys.
Find you someone.
Yeah, or a few.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us
I think
on what?
I think the next reality show should be his life now in LA. That he's
He should
here.
just be our mascot. Like Buzz can't be on the show. We'll just have Tim on the couch.
Sounds good.
There you go. The guy on the couch.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us on another round of Love in the Wild After Show. Do you guys want to go around? Tell us where we can find you. Tim, Twitter, website. What are you doing?
Twitter.
What's your phone number?
Yeah, exactly. At Timbo Parrish is my Twitter. I've just bought the rights to timparish.com because I've got some stuff I'm gonna be working on. It's a blank screen right now, but
It's about to be
hopefully
something
You're an
awesome.
open canvas.
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of comedy coming. So you know, I was saying I think it's the year of the Tim, so I'm just gonna stick with that and gotta keep gotta keep going and hopefully build up that website and other opportunities. So that's my plan.
Good
So.
for you, Miss JJ
Sounds
Jurgens
good.
over
I'm
there.
at JJ Jurgens, and my website's jjjurgens.com.
Chase.
And it's at Aaron M. Chase, and I have no website.
You don't need one?
And you can find me at _Jesse Wilson and website Facebook
Facebook.
/Jesse Allen Wilson.
And I'm Giselle Ugarte. You can find me on Twitter at Giselle Ugarte and GiselleUgarte.com. See you soon.
From
Thanks, everybody.
Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.